Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Luke here from the RapChat, and today in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the problems and potential downfalls with the Raptors offense. Welcome to the RapChat. Now, before we get into things, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, remember to comment, and to subscribe. If you listen to the RapChat podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you get your podcast, make sure to leave us a rating and also please leave us a review. That podcast comes out every Monday. My handle is @LukeDick on Instagram, and remember, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at the RapChat Official, where we post things all RapChat and Raptors related. So before I get into anything, I do want to note that I know that this video is coming off two really amazing wins against the Hawks and the Spurs. But in this video, I really wanted to talk about some bigger picture things that, if we don't change, will hurt us in the long run. So it is clear to us that Pascal has been the most dominant player for us this season, but I believe that his success comes with conditions. And that is, Pascal is still averaging over 35 minutes per game. Now, I know it's still early in the season, but if you look at our most difficult games that we played this season, pretty much all the games excluding the Hawks game and the Spurs game, he's been averaging closer to 38 minutes per game. And as a 28, 29-year-old, this is completely unsustainable for him. Pascal cannot go the rest of the season playing game in, game out every single night over 35 minutes per game and closer to that 38 minutes per game average. But if we are expecting Pascal to play as good as he is right now, we are going to have to play him less minutes and really just hope that in that 35 minutes per game and under, he is able to be as offensively efficient as he is right now, especially against the hardest teams to play in the NBA. Furthermore, a guy who's been less dominant, consistent mind you, but less dominant this season, who is still averaging the most minutes on the Raptors, is Fred VanVleet. But if these two are going to be our offensive core for the rest of the season, then I've got some bad news for you. This offense and these guys will break. Now, I know what you might be thinking, like, Luke, we still have the Rookie of the Year, Scotty Barnes. And I love Scotty, but the thing is he is still developing. Now, I can't trust what I can get from Scotty every single game like I can Fred or Pascal, which is fine, but all it means is that we can't really depend on Scotty to take on a massive offensive scoring role this season, because that would just be unfair. Our next problem is lack of depth. First, coming off the bench, we have Precious Achiuwa, who has really yet to be strikingly impressive on offense and consistent. Mind you, he is 22 years old and is still developing. Next, we have Chris Boucher, who really has been amazing for the beginning of the season, but we just can't depend on a guy like Chris to win us games like we can any of our starting fives or any teams in the NBA who have a really solidified six-man. Next, we have Christian Koloko, who is very defensively talented, but still incredibly raw on offense. Next, we have Khem Birch, who's only averaging 8.5 minutes per game and has yet to really show any extreme impact on offense. Next, we have Thaddeus Young, who, again, we really have yet to see a whole lot of this season. And mind you, he is a great offensive player, he is a great playmaker, but he's not the type of scorer that we really need coming off the bench. Delano Banton, still very young and still very raw. Malachi Flynn, he's been great, but we still have yet to see what he can do consistently. And lastly, we have Otto Porter Jr. And now I will admit, if there's going to be any offensive relief from the starting five coming into this season besides Chris and Precious, it's going to be coming from Otto. But we still really haven't seen enough of him to really make any determinations about how effective he's going to be in our offense as a whole. And the last problem with the Raptors is our half-court offense. So just to be clear, I want to make sure that we all know what the half-court offense is. A half-court offense in basketball is when the ball is taken and crossed half-court and strategy is used to get players to score the baskets. This is quite different than transition basketball, because transition basketball is more about athleticism and getting the ball up the court and scoring the ball as fast as you possibly can without really designing any plays for any particular player. Now, the problem is that we don't really have elite enough level scoring to score in the half court like other offensive teams in the NBA like Boston, Phoenix, or Golden State. Now, you might be saying, Luke, Pascal is definitely that guy. To which I would respond, I think he's well on his way to becoming that guy, but I just don't think that we have the information to be able to make a strict determination about that he is an elite level NBA scorer like somebody like Jason Tatum or Stephen Curry. Now, half-court offense stats are difficult to track and find, but just to contextualize things, Toronto is currently leading the league in both possessions in transition, and points scored in transition. Now, this is a great thing because it means that our guys are really hustling and getting after it. But if we're going to extrapolate to where basketball really matters, we have to look at how this offense will transition into the playoffs. Now, the fact of the matter is that no team can even make it to an NBA Finals by having most of their points and most of their possessions being in transition. You need an established and effective half-court offense in order to win games in the long run. So what are we going to do to fix this? Part of having a good half-court offense is having the offensive talent to run it. And right now, we only have Fred and Pascal, who have really yet to showcase that elite, and I mean elite level NBA scoring talent. But we are well on our way to developing stellar offensive talent in guys like Scottie, Gary Trent Jr., and Precious Achiuwa, who will be able to, or we hope will be able to, fill that offensive scoring hole in the future. But if we're really looking for that short-term success and trying to find a way to get to the finals again in the short term, I don't really see this happening unless we have to make some sort of trade. The good news is that if we do trade at the right time, we do have enough assets to be able to get a good enough elite level scorer in return without entirely having to gut our team. But as for right now, I do really think it's important to keep the integrity of this team so that we can better develop our young players. But I think given time and the right roster decisions, we can develop a much better half-court offense than the one we have right now. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Is our half-court offense better than I'm making it out to be? Or is it an accurate assessment? Are we going to have to make future changes to our roster? Or are we expecting Pascal to truly blossom into that elite-level NBA talent that we can build a half-court offense around? I'm Luke from the RapChat, and I'll see you guys next video.